The next bit is C, commit to action. And this isn't about how do we get more black people in our organisation. This isn't about how do we get more black people on our leadership teams, on our boards. Those things are important, but they are outputs, they're not inputs. The commit to action means you need a plan, and that plan has to be comprised of evaluating the data, right? So both the qualitative data that you've got from the A, which has analysed the impacts of the stories and the experiences from your black colleagues, but also the hard data that you have on employee data, attrition, pay, promotion, opportunities, who does glamour projects, but maybe also customer data as well. I always say whatever data you can get your hands on is worth looking at. And here you're looking for patterns and trends. And then you're going to go into asking yourself questions to say, why are these patterns and trends emerging? What is behind it? Practice the 5 whys, right? Why, and why. Because within that will tell you some of the weak spots within not only maybe how you run your company, right, but also how it perpetuates racism because there's never been the focus. So that evaluation piece is key because it ties in with what are some of the pain points that you experience within your organisation, therefore that's within your gift to solve. Then the next stage you move into within that is the design stage, and that's about picking out some things that you feel like you can make a difference with. And you're also evaluating those points based on how much is this going to make a difference to the problem? How much is this going to make a difference to our current colleagues and our future colleagues, right? So assess the level of impact, not intent, always about impact. And you also want to think about ease of implementation. What's easy for one organisation to implement is going to be very different to another. There is no standard, you must do X, Y, and Z. Within HR Rewired, we have over 50 things. It's a proprietary methodology we have. But what we say to any of our clients is we're not going to give you all 50 because you don't need it. You start with not the things that you can do, it's like the problems that you need to solve, bearing in mind what's happened in your organisation. And the next part is measure. What gets measured gets done. But again, you want to be measuring impact, and you want to be clear on the metrics that you're using and being able to explain why you're using those metrics, because these metrics are going to follow you. These are the metrics that you're going to communicate progress to your colleagues internally, and you're also going to communicate that to the wider world, be it the communities that you serve or your shareholders, as well as other stakeholders are going to be interested in what you're doing here. So taking the time to do that properly is key, and this is often the weak spot in many racial equity and actually diversity and inclusion plans. It's the measurement. And without the measurement, so for those people that think, okay, well, you know what, this is just the right thing to do, I'm not bothered about how we can track progress as long as I can see progress. That only works for 5 minutes, because as the business evolves and as you have more conflicting priorities, anything that feels a little bit too soft, a little bit abstract, will get cut. So remember, if you're wanting to commit to sustainable change, right, which means you're in it for the long run, being clear on the measures, and they can evolve over time, but being clear on how they fit in with your usual reporting rhythms and routines, what you're gonna say internally and externally is really important. And then the last phase of the commit to action is the review. Now the review is partly about obviously looking at the impact of what you're doing, the level to which you're doing what you said you were going to do, but also it's about looking at the very individuals who are impacted by all of the initiatives that you're doing. What's their views? How are they feeling? but also the people who are the enablers, who are executing this plan. What support do they need? What barriers are they facing? What can you do to lower those friction points so they're able to carry on and doing the job that they need to do? And again, too often organisations will appoint people, and lead of the anti-racism task force, chair of the ERG, maybe hire in a new chief diversity officer, and expect them to do literally everything and only knock on the door when they've got an update. That is not setting anybody up for success, and from a leadership point of view, that doesn't set anybody up for success. But in this, it is so important that there's always this circle back, this continual feedback loop, you know? And the more structured you can make it in terms of have it set in stone, it's not just about, oh, when you've got a problem, knock on my door. It's leaning in and always checking, always checking, always checking.